starting off with the third game, Paul. We've got Shahar Shenhar versus Andrew Cuneo. This is the other match happening in this side of the bracket here. And as you can see, it's Temur Adventures in the hands of Shenhar, who really dominated the Swiss portion of this tournament. Playing against Andrew Cuneo with a great run. He ended up playing Temur Control in Historic, which was an unorthodox choice for the metagame, but not one for him. And but here in Standard, he's on Sultai Ultimatum. You know, he took the most commonly played deck in Standard. As these two face off after having split the first games, it looks like Shahar is going to be on the play this time.
Yeah, and we've seen this matchup play out plenty of times at this point already. And I will say that, you know, in game one, Sultai does a really good job of just kind of keeping up with what the Temur deck's doing, and the Temur deck can really afford to only play so many counters in their main deck because of all the aggressive decks that were expected coming into this tournament. But once you go into sideboard and these Temur Adventure decks board up to potentially 8 to 9 counter spells and kind of play this aggro control game where they play out a Lovestruck Beast, play out a creature, and back that up with counter spells, we've seen that that's just a recipe that's really difficult for this Sultai Ultimatum deck to kind of keep pace with. So we'll see how it'll play out, but that's generally just how I've seen the games play out.
You can see the token's going to get into the red zone here for Shahar. Plays a land, passes the turn back. Doesn't have anything else to do this turn. A little bit of an anemic turn. You know, the best case scenario would be that he can use Petty Theft on something, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen either. So no mana spent there on turn 2. That's never what you want to see in Standard. That really demands that you use up your mana most turns or you risk falling behind. He does get to follow up here with Lovestruck Beast, though.
Yep. And oh, it looks like Cuneo actually wants to develop his board here. Oh, of course, he cannot play the Heartless deck, didn't have the black mana. But yeah, now this is going to be interesting to see if Cuneo is just going to go for the main phase Heartless deck because of all the counter spells you get out of the sideboard. Now, you want to just kind of, anytime you have a window, you just kind of want to resolve your spells when you can.
And that's exactly what he does. The window's open while Shahar's tapped out. And Andrew says, I'll climb right through that. Thank you very much. Takes down the Lovestruck Beast. That does clear the way, though, for this 1/1 human token to get in once again, dropping Andrew to 17 as Shahar has to decide what he wants to follow up with again. The Kazandu Mammoth, unfortunately, uncastable here, as Shahar has one of each of his colors. He could just play it as a land, of course. He could also just play the Lovestruck Beast, but again, it's a little awkward. He can't do both halves of it. So he's going to settle for the middle game here, play the Kazandu Mammoth as a land, and then just play a Bone Crusher Giant. He says, no targets for it, I'll just run it out.
Yeah, I mean, this makes the most sense, right? Because if you just run out the Lovestruck Beast and Cuneo just kills off the 1/1, all of a sudden you don't get to attack. This just makes it far more likely for you to be able to get in a decent attack. If Cuneo does choose to kill the Bone Crusher, you know, he's still going to be taking some damage here. So you could also see before Shahar drew this Ketria Triumph just how awkward the mana base for this deck can be. Oftentimes you want, you know, you're playing a deck that's got double red, double blue, and also cards like Lovestruck Beast plus Edgewall Innkeeper, which kind of asks you to have double green as well. If you ever do draw the Triome, however, that kind of solves all your problems. Yeah, that was actually really big here from Shahar, because this does give him the ability to basically kind of play out all of his hands. It allows him to play not only the Goldspan Dragon, but also the Brazen Borrower.
Yeah, you know, Shahar mentioned that too when Riley interviewed him before about his choice for Standard for the tournament. And he said, I didn't like Temur so much because I thought the mana was too shaky. But he says he hasn't had any mana issues over the weekend, and you can see his match win record to prove that.
Yeah, and Andrews, there's a lot of pressure here from Shahar. I mean, we're looking at 10 power here, and Andrew currently doesn't have a way to kill any of these creatures. All he can do is cycle a Shark Typhoon and make a token to get in the way. Potentially at this point, maybe the best option is to cycle Shark Typhoon for 3 to get in front of the Brazen Borrower. But one of the best answers that we've seen historically to Shark Typhoon is Petty Theft.
That's
and
right.
Shahar has that.
Yeah, he may go for it just to try to trade off with the Bone Crusher Giant, but as you mentioned, that plan will not work. And with Andrew falling down to just 3 here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even... How do you get out of this?
How's he getting out of this? Yeah, he's only got 5 mana.
Right, because this is going to get countered. Now, if Andrew Cuneo draws something like a Shadow's Verdict off the top, Shahar has the Mystical Dispute that he can cast, or just the miscast here.
Yes.
And Cuneo doesn't have a Mystical Dispute backup here, so this might just be the game.
It might just be the game, especially if there's another land off the top here for Cuneo. And this is Shahar Shenhar about to eliminate Andrew Cuneo from the competition here. And that's it. Shahar Shenhar is going to advance and say goodbye to Andrew Cuneo. Another great run from him. Always happy to see Andrew have success. But today is Shahar Shenhar eliminating him and sending him home